What's up guys, I'm Dean and welcome back to my channel. Today I've got a very exciting video lined up that's been in the works for, well, months I suppose in some ways. For those of you who don't know, many months ago I started a series on TikTok where I would replace an MCU movie with a DC movie to create my own DCEU of movies, trying to copy what Marvel did and trying to improve on what I see the flaws are with the DCEU. This series has now got like 30 parts or something. I'm up into the future of the MCU, but I thought it'd be best to recap what I've done so far and improve upon what I've done so far. So here's a recap of phase 1 of my DCEU. I've got more details on the plot. I've changed some of the castings and I've even changed entire plots of the movies and entire villains and things like that. There's a lot of changes. So just stick around to hear my pitch for the DCEU. Couple quick disclaimers before I start though. I'm not saying I would do better than the people in charge of the DCU, because obviously actually making these movies rather than just sitting in my bedroom and talking about them is a lot more difficult. And also there are good parts of the DCU. I'm not saying I hate it. I'm just going for a different kind of thing. I'm going for a more MCU type world I'm creating here. And basically this series works is I replace an MCU movie with a DC movie. So if it's an origin story, I have to make the DC movie an origin story. And if it's a sequel, I have to make the DC movie a sequel. And if it's team up, so on and so forth. But the sequel doesn't have to correspond with the original movie. I can do like Iron Man, switch that with Nightwing for whatever reason. And Iron Man 2 could be Wonder Woman 2, for example. But with that said, let's jump into the first movie on this list. Okay, so the first movie in the MCU is, of course, Iron Man, and I will be replacing that with, yes, this was a very easy one to choose, Batman. Now let's talk about my Batman movie. I'll go through the plot, then I'll go through the cast. So basically, the Batman hasn't been the Batman for very long in this movie, and there are no supervillains per se in Gotham yet. He's trying to take down Oswald Cobblepot, aka the Penguin, and meanwhile Dick Grayson is trying to take down the Penguin as well to avenge the death of his parents because they died in a circus accident which was actually caused by the crime boss, the Penguin. Dick Grayson does run into Batman at one point, and Dick Grayson asks if they can team up, and Batman says no to begin with. And at this time the Riddler enters Gotham. And the only reason the Riddler exists in this universe is to show Batman that he is smarter than him, so he gets funds from the Penguin to take down the Bat once and for all. So Batman, to take out the Penguin, goes and visits Oswald Cobblepot as Bruce Wayne to try and talk him down. And of course this doesn't work, and Bruce Wayne is kidnapped and he's going to get fed to Oswald Cobblepot's pet, Killer Croc, who is also in this movie. But Dick Grayson saves him, and that is when Batman decides to take him on as a sidekick, becoming Robin. Now, Riddler's plan, he's poisoned all the most powerful people in Gotham, but Batman and Robin in his new suit managed to stop the Riddler and send the Penguin to jail. The end credit scene in this movie is the Joker visiting the Penguin in prison and telling him that he's seizing all of his assets and taking all of his money. I should also say I'm adding a director to all these movies, which I didn't do in the original series, and I'm keeping the director for Batman as Matt Reeves because I think that's a really good choice. Okay, let's go through the cast because there have been some changes from my original TikTok series. Still playing Batman is Jake Gyllenhaal. I think Robert Pattinson will do great in the movie. Just for this universe, I think he's a tad too young, and also I think Jake Gyllenhaal would be amazing as Batman. Now I have changed who's playing Nightwing. Originally it was Kit Harington, but I have changed this to Timothée Chalamet just because, I don't know if that's how you say Timothée Chalamet, I don't care. Just because I think Kit Harington is too old for the role in this universe, unfortunately, because he would do great. Now let's talk about the villains. The Penguin is being played by John Goodman. I think that's some great casting. And the Riddler is being played by David Tennant. Commissioner Gordon will still be J.K. Simmons. And my pick for Alfred is Jeremy Irons, because I think he is great in that universe. And that's all the castings I'm going to talk about for this movie. So let's move on to movie number 2. Okay, so movie number 2 in the MCU, that rhymed, is The Incredible Hulk, and in this universe it's going to be Wonder Woman. Now, I'm not changing loads from the original, just who the villain is, so I'm just going to talk about who the villains are, and the rest will be the same as the actual Wonder Woman movie that exists. So basically the movie starts the same, apart from the fact that Diana is given an amulet that she can use to return to Themyscira, and the other big difference is Dr. Poison is a lot more of a comic booky villain. The poisons she creates are like magical, and they can cause different effects. Like one is as powerful as a nuke, and one is a complete amnesia and can make you completely forget who you are. But Wonder Woman still defeats Dr. Poison. And like in the original movie, Diana is searching for Ares, but it turns out Ares isn't in this movie, and the war started by the foolishness of man, which I think would be a really interesting element to add on to the original movie. But the main villain will be Cersei, who is a witch, and she is hell-bent on destroying Themyscira. So when she notices Wonder Woman is back, she goes after her, and in the big fight with Wonder Woman, trying to get the amulet, Wonder Woman destroys the amulet to stop Cersei from killing everyone in Themyscira. Cersei is then defeated, and Wonder Woman makes her drink the poison that completely makes her forget who she is and just live a normal life. Kind of like what happened with Agatha Harkness in WandaVision. Now that's all said and done, let's go through the cast. The end credit scene is Batman watching modern day footage of Wonder Woman stopping a bank robbery. I'm of course keeping pretty much the entire cast the same. Patty Jenkins is still directing. Gal Gadot, Chris Pine are still in it. Dr. Poison is being played by the same actress, but Cersei will be played by Isa Gonzalez. If you don't know who that is, she is just behind me, right there. Pointing is hard when I'm looking in the camera. With that all said, let's move on to movie number 3. Okay, so movie number 3 in the MCU is Iron Man 2, and in this universe it will be a sequel to Batman, but it will be called Batman and Nightwing. Now, as I alluded to earlier on, the Joker will be the main villain in this, and we don't know his origin story. He's just appeared in Gotham, but he has turned Basil Karlo, a serial killer who used to be a failed actor, hell-bent on revenge against the Batman, into a massive monster, also known as Clayface. The movie starts with Dick Grayson hanging out with his good friend Barbara Gordon. Barbara Gordon doesn't know about Batman and who Robin is yet, and she's not Batgirl yet. They're just good friends, and Dick Grayson is talking about how he wants to find his own way in the world and how he feels like he's living in Bruce's shadow. Barbara encourages him to move away. So there's a scene where Batman fights the Joker and Clayface attacks the city somewhere else, so Robin has to go and stop him by himself, but Clayface escapes because he discovers he can shapeshift into other people, and when Batman finds out Clayface has escaped, he has a massive go at Robin, and Robin decides to leave and move to Bloodhaven to start his own life. The movie has a time jump here. Joker has escaped from Arkham, and Batman arrives at the Batcave where Robin is meeting with him, apologising and saying he wants to come home. But Batman realises immediately that this isn't Robin, this is Clayface, and Batman takes him down and puts him in a cell. Alfred had called the real Robin, and he arrives, and they have a heart-to-heart, and they decide together they will go and stop Joker. Batman has made Robin a new suit, and this is the point in the movie where he takes on the name Nightwing with his cool new black and blue suit. So they arrive at the courthouse where the Joker is holding a bunch of people hostage, and Batman and Nightwing walk in, and the Joker grabs Nightwing, puts a gun to his head, and fires. But that was Clayface in disguise, because they knew they were going to do this, and when Joker is distracted, they take him down easily. Clayface realised that the Joker was the true enemy here, so he decided to help. Batman and Nightwing leave on good terms, and Nightwing returns to Bloodhaven at the end of the movie, and the end credit scene is Jason Todd stealing the tyres off the Batmobile. Okay, let's talk about the cast. Obviously, we've still got Jake Gyllenhaal, Timothée Chalamet, Jeremy Irons, and J.K. Simmons, but introducing, we have the Joker, Clayface, and Barbara Gordon, who obviously later becomes Batgirl. Matt Reeves is still directing this one. Maybe a bit of a controversial casting, but my Joker will be played by Sam Rockwell. I think someone like Willem Dafoe would be great, but he's in his mid to late 60s, so I think he's a tad too old for the role. I love Sam Rockwell, and I think he'll do great in anything. I think he would kill being the Joker. Pun intended. My Clayface is Nicolas Cage. I think it's a good role for him. He seems to like this kind of stuff. And my Barbara Gordon is Haley Steinfeld. It was originally Sadie Sink, but I decided she was too young if I wanted to do the romance between Nightwing and Batgirl, which might come later on. Okay, time for movie number 4. In the MCU, movie number 4 is Thor, and in this, it's The Flash. Let's talk about it. So the movie starts with your classic Flash origin story. His mum was killed by a yellow blur. His dad was locked up for the crime. He becomes a forensic scientist to find the real villain, and one night a bolt of lightning strikes him, all the chemicals fall on him, he falls into a coma, and when he wakes up he realises he has super speed, and he goes and stops a bunch of crimes, testing out his powers, and one of the first crimes he stops is that of Leonard Snart and Mick Rory robbing a bank. They then go to jail. A few months later, when the Flash has experimented more with his powers and built himself a kind of rudimentary suit, they escape from prison with a cold gun and a heat ray, becoming Captain Cold and Heatwave. And when the Flash is fighting them, he has the upper hand, but then Leonard Snart's sister appears from somewhere, Golden Glider, and they almost kill him. Barry enters the Speed Force and unlocks his true power potential, just like Captain Marvel does at the end of her movie, and then he easily defeats the three of them, as well as putting everyone back in jail. Let's talk about the cast. Matt Reeves is still directing this one. The end credit scene reveals that it was the Reverse Flash that broke Snart and Rory out of jail and gave them the idea for their weapons that they then went on to make. Okay, so the director of the Flash movie for me will be Justin Lin. I think he's going to be good at this fast kind of action. And my Flash actor, I struggled with this for a while. I've gone with Nicholas Hoult. Originally it was Ansel Elgort, who's behind me here, but he's kind of not a nice person. So I've settled on Nicholas Hoult instead. Let's talk about the villains. Captain Cold is Adam Driver. Adam Driver is one of my favourite actors, and I honestly think he would absolutely kill the role of Captain Cold. He kind of looks like him a bit, and I really think he'd be perfect. I know people will say Wentworth Miller, but I'm trying to stay away from the CW castings as much as possible. My Heatwave will be John Bernthal, and my Golden Glider will be Natalie Dormer. Golden Glider wasn't in my original Flash movie in the original series, but I've added her to make it more interesting. Henry Allen, who's his dad, will be played by John Wesley Shipp. I know that's his dad in the CW show, but it's genius casting. I can't help it. And Nora Allen will be played by Jenna Fisher. I'm quite proud of that casting. And Iris West will be played by Alexandra Shipp. Let's move on to movie number 5. Movie number 5 in the MCU is Captain America, the First Avenger, and I have no choice what to choose here. Of course, I've got to go with Man of Steel. I am changing quite a bit from the original Man of Steel movie. I do quite like that Man of Steel movie directed by Zack Snyder, but it doesn't fit the tone of a Superman I would want to create in a universe, and it doesn't fit the tone of this overall universe I'm creating. So let's talk about what I'd change. Number 1, on Krypton there are natural births, just Clark's birth is kept a secret because normally men are taken away to be raised as soldiers instead of being raised by their family. But the same thing happens, Krypton gets destroyed, Zod gets sent to the Phantom Zone, so on and so forth. Couple things though, by the time Lois Lane is investigating this spaceship, Superman or Clark Kent is already working at the Daily Planet, and when Lois Lane is saved by Superman, she doesn't see his face and realise that it's Clark Kent. The other difference is that Lois Lane takes a data drive from the ship and takes it back to Metropolis, where her colleague, someone I'm introducing to this movie, Jimmy Olsen, helps her activate it. But activating it frees Zod from the Phantom Zone, and the same things happen. He broadcasts a message, they send down the world engines, so on and so forth. And Superman doesn't snap Zod's neck. After a climactic fight, Superman just manages to throw him back into the Phantom Zone. There's also reports of a green blur saving people in Metropolis, and in the end credit scene, that green blur is revealed to be Martian Manhunter, also General Swanwick, like in the original Man of Steel. Okay, so the director for this will be Christopher McQuarrie. he makes a lot of the Mission Impossible movies, and I think he'd kind of work well in the Superman movie for the kind of action they go for, and also kind of the goofiness you get in a lot of Mission Impossible movies, because I kind of want my Superman to be goofy. Cast is pretty much staying the same, apart from 2 exceptions. Obviously, like I said, I'm introducing Jimmy Olsen, and he will be played by Nathan Kress. Obviously, he's from iCarly. And my other change is General Sonic / Martian Manhunter will be played by Idris Elba. Now on to the final movie in phase 1 of my dream DCEU slate. We have the Avengers in the MCU. I guess it's kind of obvious what I'm going to replace that with. Of course, it's Justice League. So basically, this movie starts with showing us where all the characters are. Batman is patrolling Gotham with his new Robin, Jason Todd. Wonder Woman is stopping a bank robbery. The Flash is working on his suit. And Superman is saving Lois from the terrorists, like he does at the start of Batman vs Superman. But he doesn't kill all of them. He figures out another solution. And then he goes back to the military base and has a debriefing by General Sonic. Then the White Martians attack. The bank robbers that Wonder Woman was thwarting transforms into White Martians. Soldiers at the military base transform into White Martians and attack General Sonic and Superman. And the Flash is attacked by White Martians. Wonder Woman only barely survives, and that's the same said for Martian Manhunter and Superman. Martian Manhunter has to reveal who he is to Superman to help fight them, and the Flash just runs away because he doesn't stand a chance fighting them. Meanwhile, in Gotham, Batman and Robin watch as a full-scale invasion from the White Martians begin in Gotham, and some of these pods of White Martians get shot into the ocean as well. If you don't know, White Martians are kind of the superior race on Mars. They killed off all the Green Martians and then they died out themselves, supposedly. They're just as powerful as Green Martians, I mean. They can shapeshift and all stuff like that, and they're weak to fire. So the White Martians have specifically attacked all the superhumans, leaving Batman and Robin out of it. But when Superman and Martian Manhunter appear in Gotham, they meet Batman and Robin for the first time, and Batman and Superman have their first interaction like this. Batman goes, "Clark Kent," and then Superman, using his X-ray vision, goes, "Bruce Wayne," and that's how they greet each other. They talk about what they need, and Batman decides they need a team. So Superman, Martian Manhunter, and Robin all stay to defend Gotham, while Batman goes and creates his team. He goes and recruits Wonder Woman and the Flash. Meanwhile, in Gotham, Superman and Martian Manhunter are captured by White Martians and taken aboard their mothership. They obviously leave Robin alone because they don't care about him, and at this time as well, Aquaman appears from the ocean saying that White Martians have attacked Atlantis and he needs to try and stop them, and he will help them. Obviously, this is a big shock to everyone because nobody there, apart from Wonder Woman, knew Atlantis was a thing. So they come up with a plan. The 4 of them, Batman, the Flash, Wonder Woman, and Aquaman, board the mothership, and the three of the superhumans get taken hostage while Batman manages to sneak under the radar. Protex is basically talking about his plan. He was awoken when Zod landed on Earth, and he's trying to colonize Earth for himself, but Batman frees the metahumans, frees the entire team, and they land back on the surface. Their plan, obviously, is to set fire to the mothership, and to do that they need a combination of the Flash's heat ray and a lightning bolt from Barry. So Barry goes to do his lightning bolt, and he's grabbed out of the sky by Protex, who is the leader of the White Martians. And Batman and Wonder Woman have to save him, while Martian Manhunter and Aquaman round up all the White Martians on the surface. Eventually, though, they set the ship on fire, and it all works well, and the movie ends with Bruce Wayne buying a building for the Justice League and them having their first meeting with the 6 members. Room for more chairs. There's 2 end credit scenes in this movie. The first one is Lex Luthor vowing to take out all superhumans when he sees this, because he blames the invasion on Superman. And the second end credit scene is Darkseid disappointed that Protex, the leader of the White Martians, failed. Now let's talk about the cast. The director for this is Jon Favreau. He did such a good job with Iron Man, and he kind of has the right tone I want for this movie. Now, who am I introducing? There's 3 of them: Aquaman, Jason Todd, and Protex. Aquaman will be played by Chris Evans. No offense to Jason Momoa, I just don't know if he pulls off the goofy style I want Aquaman to be that well, and I think Chris Evans is perfect for the role. Protex for me will be played by Josh Duhamel. I've been really struggling with a Jason Todd fan casting, and I've settled on Jaden Martell. Of course, a big factor for me was age, and he is young. I will be introducing Red Hood, but that's years down the line of this series, so I think he'll do a good job. Originally I think I had Taron Egerton, but he is too old for the role, in my opinion. And that brings us to the end of phase 1. This video was longer than I was expecting, but thank you for watching it. The more engagement this video gets, the sooner it will be when I will post a phase 2, but I'll still definitely post a phase 2. Thank you for watching. Leave your thoughts down below. Please remember to like, comment, subscribe. That still feels weird to say. And I'll see you next time. Bye.